Welcome, and thank you for joining us. I'm Danielle Fugazi, and I'll be your moderator today. Today, we're going to be talking about pre trade price transparency and pricing tools for the buy side asset managers, traders, and sales. We're going to be talking about real time trade transparency, ensuring the best price for target and comparable bonds, and more. You'll also get to see a demo and learn more about the Solve technology. But first, we have great speakers lined up for you today that I want to introduce you to before we get started. So with me, I have Eugene Ginsberg and Greg Wienstock. Eugene is co-founder, president, and chief executive officer of Solve Advisors. He draws on more than 15 years of experience developing enterprise financial technology, structuring, modeling, and assessing relative value opportunities, and building analytics for structured products and other illiquid investments. Prior to co-founding Solve, Eugene was vice president and co-head of analytics at Houlihan Lokey. Greg joined Solve in September 2022 as part of the Lumisys acquisition and is group head of municipal markets. Greg is the former CEO and co-founder of Lumisys, and he's a frequent speaker on the municipal market technology and compliance. Prior to Lumisys, Greg spent more than 13 years with Ambac Financial Group. As you can see, we have a full agenda here today. So I want to get into our first part, which is introducing Solve and the Solve platform. I thank you both for being here with us today. I think just to level set, why don't you guys tell me a little bit about how the acquisition of Lumisys has changed things? Solve was better known in credit and structured products. Can you describe the main offering now?
Absolutely. Thank you, Danielle, and thank you to the bond buyer for having us. So Solve was founded in 2011 with a specific focus on price transparency across fixed income markets. I'm sure most of the attendees know this, but if you look at equity markets, we're looking at on the order of a few thousand publicly traded companies, all with clearly sort of available real-time pricing. That type of reality is very different in fixed income. When you look at fixed income markets, you're looking at sort of many distinct asset classes. You're looking at hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of individual securities, many of which don't trade, or sort of once they're issued, they'll stay active for a few weeks, but then generally they won't get quoted for weeks or months at a time, right? So as a result, all the key constituents in fixed income, whether it's the buy side, the sell side, or the various service providers, pricing services, accounting firms, and so on, in fixed income markets, when they do have to form an opinion on price on any individual security, typically it's incredibly time consuming. The data landscape is incredibly fractured, but most importantly, there's not enough confidence that when you are pricing a bond, when you're executing a trade, that you're not doing it at a proper level, sort of given how fractured the data landscape is. So that's where Solve comes in, right? So our focus since 2011 has been to provide price transparency for all the key constituents in fixed income across all the key asset classes, do it in real time, and add lots of value to our customers. You mentioned that our focus probably has been more, probably better known in credit markets, corporate bonds, syndicated bank loans, credit default swaps, as well as securitized products. Sort of all the key sub-asset classes, asset-backed RMBS, CLOs, agency, non-agency, sort of all the usual suspects. And we incredibly excited to partner up with Greg and Tim and the Lumisys team to bring some more solutions to municipal markets.
Thanks, Eugene. Thanks for that. Greg, welcome. I don't know if you want to add to that. I do have another question, but give you an opportunity here.
Yeah, sure. So first off, again, thanks everyone for joining us, and thanks to Bond Buyer as well for having us. Just many of you on the call will likely know Lumisys, or the Diver platform, right? We too have been around prior to the acquisition for 12 plus years. So I think we were founded just around the same time as Solve, coincidentally. And our focus over the years, and continues to be part of what we do now at Solve, is we have a series of muni-focused solutions that are addressing specific regulatory issues from 15C212 to retail time and trade disclosure, supporting BestX. And then we've also built a series of what I'll call business solutions, which are driven by the needs of our clients around our pricing platform, some of which we'll get into today, specifically around our muni trade ticker and our secondary pricing tool. So that's just a little bit of background on where we've been.
So you touched on this. My next question actually was, what was the strategy behind the Lumisys acquisition, and how does the Diver suite of products fit into the overall platform? I don't know if we want to head back to you, Eugene, for a...
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at sort of the legacy Solve products at our market data and parsing capabilities, the main focus has been on secondary markets, focusing on traders, portfolio managers on the buy side, focusing on traders and sales on the sell side, as well as I mentioned earlier, a number of service providers, pricing services, accounting firms, and so on. So the focus really has been across secondary markets, as well as, I think a lot of our strength was in credit and securitized products. So I think in Lumisys, we saw kind of three things that were very interesting. One is the people. I think the quality of the people is incredible. The second is the focus on municipal markets. Sort of bolstered our muni products quite well. And then the third is focus really across the whole. I like the way Greg puts it. Around the whole life cycle of a municipal bond, right? So starting from issuance, helping bankers, helping underwriters, helping syndicate, all the way through secondary, kind of a number of interesting RegTech solutions as well, which helps us bring sort of lots of value to our customers across many asset classes, across different verticals, on the primary side, on the secondary side, regulatory compliance, and so on.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. So Eugene referred to the muni continuum, and through the markets giving us feedback over the years, we've been able to hit virtually every aspect of that. But one of our Achilles heels prior to the acquisition was that we were only in the muni space, and it was rather often where we were asked the question, can you guys do what you're doing elsewhere? What other value can you add? And I think the other piece, as we rolled out our pricing platform, and specifically the ticker and the secondary tool, was the fact that that platform, while of value because it was showing actual trades, the next logical question that folks had was around, can you incorporate additional information, pre-trade information, into the platform? And so when the conversation started, in addition to the people component, which I guess is in many respects the first qualifier, but the synergies between the organizations is quite strong, and the benefits we bring to each other are pretty powerful.
That's terrific. Okay, thank you both for getting us starting here, introducing and level setting. Let's talk a little bit about the challenge. Can you guys describe the challenge of pre-trade pricing transparency across the buy side and sell side? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. So even though some aspects of fixed income markets have been getting electronified in recent years. A lot of the trading is still very much done by voice, by email, by messages, and so on. So there are two sort of challenges that are very much related, right? So one is more of a buy side challenge, and the second is more of a sell side challenge. But at the end of the day, it's everyone's sort of dealing with the same. Hey, it takes a long time. It's to sort of do research and get confidence in my pricing. On the buy side, so a lot of our clients are seeing kind of many thousands of messages a day from their trading counterparties. Some of our largest clients are seeing as many as 100,000 messages a day, right? So it's an absolutely overwhelming amount of unstructured data, which is really difficult to sift through, to digitize, organize, and gain sort of any useful insights from. So that's sort of more of the buy side problem, right? Where the buy side is seeing sort of a lot of this unstructured content coming from the sell side counterparties, but there's really no effective way of using the data in these messages. And on the sell side, the dealers are making markets, right? So they're sending across bid and ask levels to their buy side accounts, but they don't have good visibility into what the rest of the market is doing, right? So they're always at the risk of not sort of having the most current, most accurate information, and potentially getting picked off. So again, very related challenges, right? At the end of the day, it's about confidence in pricing, but slightly different angles, which we try to address in our solutions. So I guess the next step is I'll do a quick demo.
Just right before you do that, Eugene, I just want to remind the audience that they can submit questions at any time during this to save to the end. But go ahead, Eugene. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you there.
Perfect.
We're ready to the demo?
No, thank you for the reminder. Yes, so I was going to jump into the demo.
Great.
So maybe just if you could confirm that you could see my screen right about now.
Yep, I can see it.
Excellent. So just a very quick overview, but if anyone in attendance has any questions or you'd like to see sort of a longer demo, feel free to just send us a line at info@solidfixedincome.com. So this is sort of the front end of the quotes application of Solve Quotes. It's the same platform that that supports sort of all of our personas, the buy side, the sell side, the service providers, as well as across all of our asset classes, right? So as I mentioned earlier, we and perhaps I'll just go through the list real quick, right? So we are in all securitized products, so CLOs, resi, commercial real estate, ABS, corporate bonds, again, sort of the usual suspects, IG, high yield, emerging markets, sovereign, supranationals, syndicated bank loans, converts, single name CDS, and the topic of the day, the U.S. municipal bonds. So the idea here is I have a portfolio loaded of just some sample municipal bonds, and there are two sort of primary sources of information here, right? So one is if you're receiving, as I mentioned, traders, portfolio managers are receiving sort of many thousands of of runs, of intraday updates, access from the dealers. So if you're on the receiving end, we developed kind of this proprietary capability to extract quotes from messages. This is something that we've been doing for about 12 years, right? We're leveraging the latest and greatest natural language processing, machine learning, AI to aggregate as many quotes and as accurately as possible. And it's all available in real time. So whenever you see quotes that have some kind of an attribution, right? They say city or brownstone. The idea is that a client is receiving this message directly from that dealer. And when you are directing that message, you're able to double click on it. You're able to see the original message. You could scroll down and see where this bond was quoted in the first place. It's going to be highlighted, and you could see if there's any. You could validate the quotes. You could see if there's any interesting commentary that's associated with this price. So you get that full transparency. The other source of quotes is the anonymized salt data. So some of our customers, on the buy side and the sell side, share their quotes with us anonymously, and we're able to overlay those quotes in addition to what clients are receiving directly. So this gives clients sort of unparalleled transparency, since they're not only able to see what's coming into their firm directly, but they're also able to see what sort of the larger market is seeing. And it gives them an enormous amount of confidence in their pricing. It saves them and it saves them a lot of time. And most importantly, the quotes are no longer unstructured messages. The quotes are digitized, they're data-based, where you're able to go back in time and start monitoring trends for individual securities or cohorts in the market. So for any security that I have in my portfolio, I'm able to click on it and see the live. So the quotes are gonna come in, and I'm able to see sort of that same view. So that's sort of the key element of the South Quotes platform. The second incredibly valuable element is aggregation of liquidity, right? So we like to think of the quotes platform as a combination of levels and liquidity, right? So levels refers to aggregation of quotes, both in real time as well as retaining all the historical quotes. And the second is giving the user an ability to see what's actionable today, right? Which is incredibly valuable if you think about the fact that a lot of these securities may not trade for weeks or months at a time. So what our clients often do is they create portfolios and watch lists over here on the left hand side. And on a daily basis, they're monitoring if there are any matches, if there are any overlap between securities in their portfolios and watch lists with what's actionable in the market. And when we say actionable in the market, we're generally referring to two views here. So one view pertains more to securitized products. It's called the DWIC monitor. And then the second view is called the inventory monitor, which exists for all of our asset classes. But any security that's showing a one-way or two-way market today will show up on the inventory monitor. And so on the one hand, you're able to see what's actionable today. On the other hand, you could actually filter this list, right? So if I remove this filter, you could filter this list based on your portfolios, which allows you to see any overlap with anything that you've previously identified as interesting. And then there's some other metrics here where you're able to see a liquidity score, which tells you how many dealers are quoting this bond, days unchanged, which gives you an idea of how stale this quote is, right? So sometimes you'll see bonds that are just sitting in a large spreadsheet, which may not be getting a lot of attention, versus days unchanged of 0, which gives you a clear indication that it's more of a live market. And then you're able to see whether it's a one-sided or two-sided market. You're able to filter, define price ranges, and things like that. The other element here, and again, don't want to go too deep, but the other element here that's incredibly valuable is the ability to create price alerts and notifications, right? So similarly to being able to identify matchers, bonds that I care about, are they available in the market? You can go a level deeper and actually say, I care if a bond is trading at a specific level. So in this instance, so there are actually a couple different capabilities. One is you could get notified that there's any information available, but with price alerts, you could actually say, hey, if a specific price, right? So you could say a bid or an offer. You could define it in different domains: price, spread, yield. If it reaches sort of a threshold that's interesting, you will get proactively notified either in the application or by email, and that's incredibly differentiating, right? Because bonds that may not trade for weeks, months at a time, right? All of a sudden, you're getting proactively notified that they're actually available on the market at a price that's interesting. Again, something that our clients really appreciate. So I promise not to go too deep, but again, if anyone has questions or would like to see a deeper dive, feel free to reach out at info@solidfixedincome.com. So I'll turn it over to Greg, who's going to demo some of the legacy Lumis's diver products, which are being sort of aggregated into a larger South platform. Greg.
Great, thanks, Eugene. Thanks very much. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes walking through two component aspects of our pricing platform. So one is our Muni Trade Ticker that we created. This was created really with significant input from our client base, folks sitting on the trading desk, and essentially what our clients wanted to be able to do is to be able to create as many Muni tickers, trade tickers as they wanted, be able to run multiple of these tickers at a single time, and display whatever the data is that they wanted. So if you look at my screen, the data headings at the top of the screen are ostensibly what I have chosen in the moment, and the ticker that I'm explaining right now is greater than 500 bonds, and just really broadly focused on GOs. The creation of a ticker, the editing of fields and that is rather simple. So if I wanted to do, for example, Southeast Higher Ed, I would decide what I'm going to call it. You do have the ability to drop in 100 CUSIPs if you want. You can go specific obligor focused. We do see lots of our clients who are both on the underwriting side and on the sales desk being able to use it to be able to see literally real time what's transpiring for a specific obligated party. For sectors here, if we just wanted to do public and private higher ed, we have those here. The platform does have 27 sectors that we can look at. You do have your source of repayment. These filters I'm showing you, you'll also get to see them when we get into the secondary tool, but I'll I'll try to keep that limited. And then you have the ability to determine, what it is you want to see from which states, for example. So if I was interested in Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and I could pick as many or as few as I want. And I can also say alternatively exclude certain states. So you have the ability to do that. And I won't do the whole grouping here. You then have the ability to choose your tax status. And again, we'll go tax exempt here. And then BQ status, offering type. You can set a maturity date range, a coupon range. So you really have the ability to control the data. Insured status, school credit enhancement status. Of course, if you want, as long as you have a ratings license, you're able to also say, I want to say, double to AAA, and I want to see it across the board. You're able to very quickly to add those as well, and then make a determination, just scrolling down here very quickly, whether you want to see a live ticker, which will show you, so long as there are trades, over the preceding 24 hours, and that'll be a live rolling ticker, or you can also go historical, which you can set a specific date range to see specific trade activity, again, for any market segment or multiple segments. And then finally, you have the ability to control your trade type. So if you wanted to limit it to any specific side or multiple sides, you can do this. And then you also have the ability to control trade size. So you can set a floor or a ceiling as applicable to you. So those are always going to drive what the output is going to be. We'll generate that in 1 second. Just want to point out 2 other things for you. I mentioned you have the ability to control the data that you see. And right here on the right side are the data points that I have chosen. It's a simple drag and drop. So if I want to move something, I can go ahead and move it. If I want to add something else, I can do that as well. You can set it and forget it as well. So if I wanted to do this and apply to all of my future future tickers, I can do that. And then finally, for taxable term bond pricing, we do give you a choice of whether you want the MSRB method or average life. Once you've made your selections, you simply click create and you have a live ticker running for you. And again, you have the ability to pop this out and run multiple of these specific tickers. You also have the ability to drop this information into an Excel export. And as trades come in, we get them, we take a pipe from the MSRB. So you're seeing data, generally speaking, within 4 seconds of it being reported to the MSRB, you'll see the trade running through our system. So that is the trade ticker. The other tool that I wanted to very quickly show everyone here is what we call the secondary market pricing tool. And this is the tool which was built kind of off the backbone, if you will, of our new issue pricing platform. And the premise behind this is for any CUSIP in the marketplace, the ability to identify not only trade history for that CUSIP, but also for comparable bonds, and then also for other bonds that are trading from that target bonds issue. And ostensibly what we're doing here, and a lot of what you see on this screen is configurable. So these are some of my own personal settings that I have in here that if we're doing a setup you can play around with. But ostensibly what we're doing is, because we know the details of the target bond, i.e. the structure and credit, we're able to drop those into a series of comp search parameters and use those to identify not only trades for our target bond, but also for comparable bonds. And you'll see some of the defaults are already highlighted for us, but you do have the ability to make changes here. So we know, for example, here that our sector is a geo at the county level. It's a revenue bond. I have my settings set so that I'm only returning bonds from the state where, comparable bonds from the state where my bond actually lives, i.e. New Jersey in this case. We have a tax exempt bond, not bank qualified. For the maturity date, we will look 6 months on either side of the maturity date. So you'll see the maturity date is here. But again, a user has the ability to make changes to this information if she wants to. For coupons, we're looking anything with a 5 handle because our target bond has a 5% coupon. It's not insured or credit enhanced, so we're not going to bring back any comps with those characteristics. And then you'll see that the bond is AA. So we're going to bring back anything from the AA cohort. And again, a user has the ability to expand or contract. And then finally, our bond is not callable, so you won't see any comps that are callable. And then the trade parameters, which are going to dictate what we bring back for you. So the bond parameters will always drive the structure and credit component. The trade parameters are going to be based on, at least as a starting point, what you did the last time. So we're going to look back for observations. The last time I ran this, I went a week. I can go back a day, a week, a month, whatever it is I want. And then I said I wanted to include both any primary market trades that met my criterion, and then also any secondary market trades that met my criterion. And again, I have the ability, as I did with the ticker, to control which side of the market. And then I also have the ability down here to control trade size. And then very quickly, as we look at the right-hand side of the screen, again, I'll scroll up here a little bit, is we'll start off with some comp trade metrics where we'll look across both your observation period, tell you what we're seeing by side of the market, as well as volume and spread information, and then as well as your last trade for all of your comps. And I'm just going to make one quick change here as we do this. So this will just calculate for us on the fly. I have the ability to display my comps if I want to, and you can hover over. And then, of course, right, in the interest of full transparency, you're going to have the ability to see all of your comparable trades with all the associated information, including your spread to ICEs, what we're using here. We'll tell you the benchmark that we're using, and I can scroll across and see additional information. So we default down to the trade level. You could, of course, come back up and say, I want to see what's going on at the specific bonds and zero in on an individual bond. And then finally, especially in the muni space where as Eugene mentioned at the outset, right, and we all know that you have situations where after you get the first bunch of weeks that you don't see a lot of trading activity. One of the things that our clients have asked for is to also show us other bonds trading from that target issue. And so in this instance, we know, for example, we have a 26 maturity that's non-callable, and I may want to look down. Whoops, bear with, sorry about that. There we go. And I may want to look down and see if there are any close in time maturities that could be relevant, and I want to see that specific information for that trade as well, and be able to incorporate that information into my analysis. So gives you a lot of functionality here. Clients are using this for trade ideas. They're using it to support best X and for just in general pricing support. There is the ability to take some notes and store those in the system as well. And again, as Eugene said, if you are interested in a demo or learning more about just that component aspect, obviously let us know. You can reach out to us, and there'll be information available at the end of the session here. But one of the things that we really want to share with you all, excuse me, is one of the benefits of Solve's acquisition of Lumisys is the ability to take the proprietary data that Solve Quotes is able to create through its technology, and to be able to integrate that into the Diver platform, and specifically to be able to integrate that into both the secondary pricing tool as well as the ticker. So kind of for the first time publicly, we're sharing kind of what this is going to look like, a bit of a mock-up here. But clients who have both access to the Diver secondary pricing tool and Solve Quotes will have the ability to display and utilize Solve Quotes in the platform. So what you'll see is in the lower left-hand corner on the parameters, you'll see there's the ability to toggle on and incorporate quotes. So you can make a determination, use that as a filter. And then in the center portion, under the display, you'll see not only specific trades, but you'll also see quote information as well will be incorporated. Eugene spoke, to the value of that earlier. And as you look at the next slide, again, keeping it pretty straightforward here. Not only are quotes going to be incorporated into a display of trades and quotes, but you'll also be able to have that information when you start to look at your metrics, which is the lower portion of the screen. And again, the ability based on the parameters to toggle those on and off as well. So from a value standpoint, we're going from just being able to show what's been executed to show you what's out in the market in addition. So that, and then finally for our ticker, we will also, again, in terms of the filters and the setup of that screen that I showed you all, where you're deciding what to incorporate as you set up a ticker, you'll also have the ability to incorporate into a ticker quotes in addition to trade activity. So it'll be an and or, and you can make that determination as deemed appropriate. So that's kind of the sneak preview. Eugene, I don't know if you have anything you want to add in terms of kind of what's coming in that regard, but we're super excited about that. I'll just add that while we thought it was a great idea, we spoke to a lot of you, and we know that a lot of folks are looking forward to us bringing this forward over the next couple of months.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Our clients certainly tell us kind of where to go next. There are a number of interesting things that are in R&D at the moment, which are very much driven by customer feedback. I think this was sort of, what we would call the low-hanging fruit, right? I think kind of given how comprehensive the legacy diver tools are, incorporating quotes into ticker and secondary pricing tools is a no-brainer, and kind of a lot of our clients said the same thing.
All right. Well, I thank you both so much for sharing those screens with us and giving us some insight into what we can be expecting going forward. You guys have some questions here. You guys good? I'm going to start asking some of the audience questions. Okay. So first question, how does it perform on non-rated bond issues?
Yeah, so I'll cover that. So our universe is the entire municipal bond market, and so rated, non-rated, whatever sectors. It's in terms of what information we bring in and what information is made available is really going to be driven again by those parameters on the left-hand side. So as long as we're seeing trade activity, as long as we're seeing quote activity as it relates to those types of bonds, yes, you're going to see that activity in there.
Great. Okay, next question. For munis, the offer side is available through a variety of different platforms and messages. Do you also aggregate bid side information from munis?
Yeah, so the parser, right, the natural language processing engine behind soft codes, it understands the nuances of different types of quotes. It understands trader lingo. It's able to aggregate not only quotes, but also it picks up all sorts of metadata, right? Which things like, is this a bid? Is this an offer? If there's a size associated with the quote, right? So maybe that's something I didn't point out when I was going through the demo, but with all the quotes, or most of the quotes, you would normally see a size next to them, as well as other relevant metadata. So yes, I mean, the short answer is absolutely yes. Oftentimes we do see bids and they get picked up, and you'll see them in the platform.
Great. Do the quotes you parse need to be in a specific format or a specific source?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. There are other quote unquote parsers out there, right? But I think it's the way we go about parsing is kind of dramatically different from what some of the other parsers do, right? I think other parsers require that data be sent in specific formats and in templates, right? So they will essentially try to replicate format of a message in a template. But the way our parser is designed is sort of dramatically different. It looks at a message, it sort of tokenizes the text, right? It leverages natural language processing to identify securities, identify kind of various tags in the message that sort of give it an idea of what's relevant and what's not. But oftentimes, messages will have other descriptive information about securities, right? And some of the other parsers, when they simply kind of follow a template, they're at a high risk of picking up kind of some of this other descriptive information, which really has nothing to do with quotes. So I think the beauty of our technology and why we're able to work with the types of clients that we work with is specifically because it's completely format agnostic. It's able to it's equally sort of able to capture runs as well as very conversational exchanges, kind of very quick intraday updates, and it truly is on a different level from an accuracy and coverage perspective.
Great. Okay, next question. Can the quotes be taken as an API?
Yes. So there are a number of data feeds that we have developed over the years that our clients are able to leverage. In addition to the South Quotes front end, which I demoed, and ticker and secondary pricing tools that Greg demoed, quotes are available in a number of different APIs and data feeds. Right, so fix is something that's very common in fixed income. REST APIs. We also have an Excel add-in. A lot of our customers live in Excel all day long, so it's actually super meaningful to be able to pipe data directly to Excel. And then the final, I think the final point is we also have integration partnerships into some of the other platforms. That's probably more relevant for some of the other asset classes, but our data is available in some other platforms as well.
Okay. For the diver products, can one control the types of trades they see?
Yeah, I'll grab that one. So the short answer is yes, right? So we have the ability, the user has the ability to control which side of the market, whether it's primary, secondary, both. They have the ability to control trade size as well. And those toggles, those parameters, as we call them, those trade parameters will get set by the user. And again, they're the kind of thing that once it's set, you can forget it. Or on any given search, you're able to go in and make an adjustment to that as well. But otherwise, it'll carry forward from trade to trade is how that'll work.
Okay. How do your outcomes of pricing compare to prevailing prices?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think what's important to note, and maybe it's obvious, but I think what's really important to note about our data, right, is it doesn't come from us, right? So it's not formed on any subjectivity. It's not an evaluated price, right? So we source our data in the market, right? So these are actual quotes coming from market participants from the buy side and the sell side. Outside of trades, the quotes data is as good as it gets, right? So in fact, I would call it the prevailing price because it does come from a market participant.
Terrific. We are just getting to the end here. I want to give you both an opportunity. Is there anything that we that you didn't get to say that you wanted to, or anything you want to share with the audience before we wrap things up here?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've just about covered everything we were hoping to cover. I think we've got some great questions. I think from my end, I would just, once again, thank you, Danielle, and thank you to the bond buyer for having us. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to us at info@solvefixedincome.com. Greg, I don't know if you had anything that you want to mention as well.
No, I think we've covered it. Nice to be able to give folks back 7-8 minutes of their time. Appreciate everyone joining us. Danielle, thank you. Bond buyer, thank you. And we look forward to following up with you all. And again, as Eugene said, if you're interested in learning more, info@solvefixedincome.com. And everyone have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, we put that information up here on the last screen. Greg, Eugene, I want to thank you guys for coming and sharing your insights with us. I think that the participants all learned a lot. I also want to thank Sol for sponsoring today's session, and thank everybody for joining us. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.